I'm a positive guy. I love coming down here and talking about the great things we're doing as a country, the amazing steps forward that we're making, the way we're exceeding the expectation of our constituents. And that was the speech I got to give when Republicans were in the majority, and I got to bring the bipartisan package. At that time, Janet was sitting to my left, and Caitlin would have been sitting right behind Mr. McGovern. A lot of things hadn't changed much since that time, but some things have. One of the things that has changed is COVID-19 is ravaging the nation, and I want to say to my Rules Committee friends, because we've got a lot of work left to do in this cycle, I recognize that there is an inclination among some in leadership in this House to shut down this process, to keep folks off the floor, to keep votes from happening with great frequency, all in the name of public health. I would tell you that may protect the health of the members generally, but it undermines the health of the institution specifically. And I'm grateful to my friends on the Rules Committee for fighting those urges and advocating for a more open process on the floor of the House. Again, I know I can attribute that sentiment to my friend from New York, and I know I can attribute that sentiment to my chairman, the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. McGovern. But the transportation bill, Mr. Speaker, is different from most of what we do. I hope we'll have an opportunity to bring a bipartisan bill to the floor, and then we can have that bipartisan conversation about limiting debate so that we can move the bipartisan idea forward so that we can get a signature on the President's desk. Mr. Speaker, every good thing you heard mentioned that this bill does on the other side of the aisle today, every good thing you heard mentioned, I want to stipulate that the bill absolutely does that. And I ask my friends to stipulate that the bill has absolutely no chance of ever becoming the law of the land, so none of those things are ever going to happen. Hear me, Mr. Speaker. It does every single one of those things if it becomes law, but because it's moved in a partisan process, when we have bipartisan government, it will never become law, and it will never happen, not one of those things that my colleagues earnestly believe their constituencies need and are demanding are going to be delivered. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to make the point. I do want to make the difference. I recognize that in divided government, sometimes you have to put out the party line. Sometimes you have to stand up and say, this is where I am. Now let's figure out where you are, and then the negotiation happens later. And that happens on a lot of bills in this institution. Doesn't usually happen on transportation. Doesn't usually happen on infrastructure, because the way transportation infrastructure usually happen is we partner from day one. In the last Congress, Mr. Speaker, last time we moved this bill, roughly an equal number of Republican ideas, Democratic ideas, and bipartisan ideas considered to improve the bill. This time around, Mr. Speaker, we'll consider 17 bipartisan amendments, 19 Republican amendments, and 134 Democratic amendments. Last time around, roughly 1-to-1. This time around, 7 Democratic ideas for every 1 Republican idea. Last time around, the bill was crafted in a partnership way, so there were more ideas than everyone were included in the beginning. This time around, the bill moved in a strict party line vote. I understand we can't be the best version of ourselves as an institution every day of the week, Mr. Speaker. I recognize that. And it's not even our goal every day of the week. Sometimes we have a partisan priority, an itch that needs to be scratched. But good habits are hard to keep. Bad habits are easy to make. There's a reason the Transportation Committee is special. There's a reason Mr. DeFazio has stood in line so long waiting on his opportunity to lead. It's a special place where you can make a huge difference on behalf of not just your community, but your country. We're squandering that opportunity today. Lots of good ideas that we could have moved forward in a partnership way. I hope that the extraordinary partisanship that represents a dramatic change from anything we've ever done in this transportation environment before is the aberration. and that as soon as that partisan itch gets scratched, my colleagues will then turn their attention to being able to get something done. Because when my friends talked about road safety and the needs America has, they were right. When my friends talked about crumbling infrastructure and the needs America has, they were right. When my friends talked about investing in us as a nation, my friends were right. I want to join with them to make those things happen. But today, Mr. Speaker, I encourage my colleagues to vote no on the previous question and to vote no on the rule. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.